Where did our family origin come from?
Most of our family came from England, Ireland, and Scotland in the 1800s. Most of them came and settled in southwestern Ontario, in Toronto, in London, in Windsor, Strathroy, Caradoc, and we did have some relatives who landed and went to Pennsylvania.
What are their jobs?
Well, over the years, our relatives have had many different jobs. We've had mechanics, nurses, teachers, security guards, chiropractors, and doctors. We've had many secretaries, lots of merchants, men that were merchants. We've had ministers, opticians, managers, many farmers, and some people were even involved in the military, and one of the relatives was a colonel.
Do you have anybody who fought in the war?
Yes, we had quite a few relatives who fought in the war. In the First World War, my grandfather, on my mother's side, he was actually wounded in the First World War, and part of his leg was shot up from a shell. My other grandfather was a colonel in the First World War, and he led the Essex and Kent Scottish overseas from here. We also had people, my own father was an Air Force pilot in the Second World War, and he had to stop going to Air Force school because he was colorblind, and then became a mechanic for the Air Force on planes.
What was our family's problems?
Some of the relatives, the reason they came to the New World were there was religious persecution in the Old World at that time, so they left there to come over to the New World to be able to practice any religion they wanted without persecution. And they came over here in the late 1700s.
Event.
Well, my father's uncle was the founder of Green Shield of Canada, which brought in prescription services for all people. They just paid a dividend to that, and they got prescriptions at one time for nothing, and then eventually started in with co-pays on this system. And he brought that in. He was a pharmacist, and in the Second World War, he was a submarine commander. And when he came back, he started a prescription service in Essex County, which then became Green Shield, and it's Canada-wide now.
William, can you tell me about your family crest?
Okay, this is our family crest. It's a unicorn coming out of a crown, and it's supposed to mean guard well. Famous stories and what are famous things they did?
My grandfather's brother, William Wilkinson, was a submarine commander in the Second World War, and when he came back he started Green Shield prescription service. But we had someone who went further back than that, who was Governor Semple in the Red River Settlement, and that was in 1777. He had landed in Boston, Massachusetts, and was sent out by the Hudson Bay Company around autumn of 1815 to run Hudson Bay at the Red River Settlement. He actually died out there in a skirmish between some of the Métis and the French-Canadian settlers, and actually 20 of his men and himself were killed at the Red River Settlement.